What the last 3 years have brought to cardiology has been almost a career's worth of work of individuals across an age spectrum with new cardiovascular problems. I'm Dr. Peter McCullough. I'm a practicing internist and cardiologist in the Dallas, Texas area. I'm witnessing in my practice today a tsunami of cardiovascular issues, and they include myocarditis or heart damage, inflammation of the heart. All the regulatory agencies agree the vaccines cause myocarditis. There are over 200 peer-reviewed literature papers on both fatal and non-fatal myocarditis, acceleration of atherosclerotic cardiovascular disease, heart attacks, and ischemic strokes, blood clots occurring in the arteries, the veins, blood clots in a whole variety of scenarios. And SARS-CoV-2 indeed, based on the peer-reviewed literature, promotes cardiovascular disease. All the elements that I've just outlined can be caused by SARS-CoV-2 infection. Now, importantly, the risks with the infection are time limited. And an important paper by Z and colleagues, XIE, from the U.S. Veterans Administration System demonstrated that after serious COVID-19, of which a U.S. veteran would be hospitalized, there is a risk period for heart attacks, strokes, other cardiovascular events. It's about 6 weeks. So 6 weeks after an infection, that's the risk period of which the infection itself could provoke a cardiovascular event. There's been a series of papers published by lead author Jenna Schauer on pediatric vaccine-induced myocarditis. And what we've learned, sadly, is it doesn't go away in a matter of a few days or a few weeks. In some unlucky children, the heart develops a permanent scar. So with a permanent scar, it's possible, in the wrong conditions, at the wrong time, everything lining up with a permanent scar, to get an abnormal heart rhythm, again, a reentrant heart rhythm, ventricular tachycardia, degenerates to ventricular fibrillation and death, and have a cardiac arrest. So it turns out there are 2 periods of time where the human body gets a surge of adrenaline. One is during exercise. People know that because they can feel the adrenaline. There are 3 circulating catecholamines, dopamine, norepinephrine, and epinephrine, the surge of those. But the other time where there's a surge of catecholamines is in the waking cycle between 3 a.m. and 6 a.m. We actually get a natural surge of adrenaline. That's what wakes us up. So now we have children taking the COVID-19 vaccine. Some of them are developing a scar. In the Jenna Schauer paper, some of the scars in children are substantial, and they don't always feel it. They don't feel the symptoms when they take the vaccine. They're suffering heart damage. They develop a myocardial scar. An unlucky child will lose their life months after taking the vaccine due to a cardiac arrest, and the underlying pathology is vaccine-induced myocarditis, a myocardial scar. I was fortunate to review the autopsy report, and in my interpretation, and I have considerable experience in cardiac pathology and examination of hearts at the time of death, I believe the autopsy is conclusive for the cause of death being COVID-19 vaccine-induced myocarditis. He took a messenger RNA vaccine, installs the genetic code for the lethal Wuhan spike protein. The spike protein has been found in the human heart. It causes inflammation, it causes tissue destruction, and it sets up a zone of abnormal conduction. In the case of young Ramirez, what we learned is that the heart was swollen. In the setting of myocarditis, before COVID, our guidelines say they can never exercise. If there's myocarditis or heart inflammation, there can be no exercise because the surge of adrenaline can stimulate the electricity to begin to have this abnormal conduction through the area of injury and circle back around. That's called a reentrant arrhythmia, ventricular tachycardia. Ventricular tachycardia is very fast, and in a young man like this, it could be tolerated for maybe a minute or so or less. It basically degenerates into ventricular fibrillation, which is a near flatline rhythm, And unless promptly shocked at the VT or VF stage, it's over with. And the death ultimately is a flat-line death, a VT, VF, asystolic death. It's considered a sudden arrhythmic death, a cardiac arrest directly related to COVID-19 vaccine-induced myocarditis. Since his case, there have been a multitude of similar cases of death that's occurred after COVID-19 vaccination that likely is fatal myocarditis. So importantly, the first case of fatal myocarditis was reported by Verma and colleagues in 2021 in the New England Journal of Medicine after COVID-19 vaccination. If this happens, how come it doesn't happen to everyone? And that's what we're trying to study. We're doing careful research, following the literature very carefully. As we sit here today, we are looking at billions of people, billions worldwide, who have been exposed to the virus or the vaccine or both. Now, even if a small fraction of those individuals have a complication, a side effect, or a residual syndrome, that percentage, even no matter how small, is a huge number of individuals.
There was a mixed shift from 2020 to 21 of excess mortality from old to young. So in 2020, it was mostly old people. We also saw a mixed shift in disability starting to rise in May of 21. The excess mortality has shifted so much so that it's pretty phenomenal what you see here in the charts before you. But what I find interesting and curious is this excess mortality continues, the disabilities continue, and our health authorities have no interest in trying to figure out what's going on. This should be a national story in my mind. And then to end, Denmark and the UK have already stopped their vaccination program. Denmark under 50, they've now said no vaccines for anyone, they'd rather you get COVID. The Denmark data, if you look at that, that was a disaster and excess mortality, so they saw something clearly that our US health authorities should be seeing as well. The UK's stopped the vaccination for under 12. So my question, Senator, is why are our health authorities still pushing this vaccine if other countries are backing off?